aliens hunt last humans. Meet our quantum war fleet. The flesh render pulsed through the void like a diseased heart, its bioluminescent hull casting sickly green patterns across the bridge, where Overlord Vashketh stood analyzing the tactical displays. His compound eyes, each facet capable of perceiving 17 distinct electromagnetic spectra, tracked the scattered human vessels trapped within the Tartarus Nebula's roiling depths. The chitinous plates of his exoskeleton clicked rhythmically as he processed data streams from 3,000 subordinate minds, their thoughts flowing through the hive link with crystalline clarity. Pathetic mammals, he chittered, mandibles slicing the recycled air. The human ships appeared on his tactical display as dying embers, 12 vessels, maybe 13, their heat signatures fluctuating wildly in the nebula's electromagnetic chaos. Perfect prey, wounded, desperate, emotional. The Syx had learned to exploit that weakness across 47 conquered systems. Humans made decisions based on feelings rather than logic, individual initiative rather than collective efficiency. They clung to hope when surrender offered the only rational outcome. This fundamental flaw had made their extermination campaign almost trivially easy. Almost. Vashketh's neural implants synchronized with his fleet's tactical network, sharing his consciousness across 800 bioships. Each vessel was a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, living weapons bred in the spawning pools of Syx Prime, their hulls grown from modified warrior-caste carapaces, their weapons systems biological extensions of his will. Through compound sensors and shared awareness, he could perceive the nebula from multiple angles simultaneously, mapping its turbulent gases and gravitational anomalies with mathematical precision. Final sweep protocols, he broadcast through the hive link, his thoughts rippling across thousands of subordinate minds. The response was immediate, a symphony of acknowledgement from captains whose individual identities had long since merged into the greater collective consciousness. They would execute the extermination with surgical precision, each movement coordinated to eliminate the possibility of human escape. Deep within the Tartarus Nebula's sensor-dead zones, Admiral Nyx Shadowbane stood before the holographic displays aboard the Wraith's edge, her scarred fingers tracing quantum probability matrices that would have driven lesser minds to madness. The command ship existed in a state of dimensional uncertainty, phased 17% out of normal spacetime to avoid detection. Around her, the bridge crew moved with the fluid precision of operators who had learned to think in terms of quantum mechanics rather than Newtonian physics. "Status report on the Ghost Fleet construction," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of 3 years spent hiding in the nebula's depths while humanity's enemies believed them broken. "Quantum field generators are at 97% efficiency across all vessels," reported Commander Zara Voidwalker, her neural implant interfacing directly with the shipyard networks scattered throughout the nebula's most inaccessible regions. "The null field generators are maintaining stable dimensional phase variance, and the reality-warping weapons have exceeded design specifications by 12%. Nyx nodded, studying the construction reports from shipyards that shouldn't exist. Human engineers had spent months cannibalizing technology from 19 different alien civilizations, reverse engineering quantum mechanics principles that most species considered theoretical impossibilities. The Ghost Fleet represented humanity's evolution, beyond conventional warfare dreadnoughts that could exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously, armed with weapons that ignored the fundamental laws of physics. "The Phantom's Requiem reports successful test firing of their quantum cascade torpedoes," Voidwalker continued. "The test asteroid was successfully deleted from reality across 4-dimensional frequencies simultaneously." Each Ghost Fleet vessel was a testament to human adaptability and technological synthesis. Where other species developed weapons that operated within known physics, humans had learned to weaponize uncertainty itself. Quantum phase drives allow the dreadnoughts to exist partially outside normal space, making them impossible to target with conventional sensors. Reality warping cannons could delete matter from existence by introducing localized paradoxes into space-time. Temporal missile systems fired backwards through causality to destroy targets before they realized they were under attack. "Admiral," called Captain Rex Voidhawk from the communications station, his transmission arriving through quantum-encrypted channels from the bait ship Last Hope. "Six forward elements are beginning their final approach. My crews are ready to spring the trap." The bait ships represented perhaps the most dangerous element of Nyx's strategy. Each vessel was crewed by volunteers who understood they were probably going to die to maintain the illusion of humanity's desperation. Modified destroyers and frigates, their external appearances carefully crafted to suggest battle damage and failing systems, while their internal modifications would allow them to coordinate targeting data for the Ghost Fleet's reality-warping weapons. "Acknowledged, Captain," Nyx replied. "Remember, you need to sell the performance until the last possible moment. The Syx collective consciousness will detect deception if you reveal our true capabilities too early." "Understood, Admiral. My people know the stakes." Voidhawk's voice carried dark humor characteristic of someone who had volunteered for suicide duty. "We'll give those chitinous bastards the performance of a lifetime." Aboard the flesh render, Vashketh observed the human vessels with predatory satisfaction. His tactical analysis showed clear signs of desperation, erratic movement patterns, power fluctuations consistent with failing reactors, and communications chatter that suggested command structure breakdown. The humans were attempting to coordinate some final gesture of defiance, but their individual decision-making processes made effective coordination impossible. "Deploy hunting formations," he commanded, his will transmitted instantly across the fleet. Bioships began moving in perfect synchronization, their living hulls pulsing with anticipation as they prepared for the kill. Each vessel carried weapons specifically designed for hunting human craft gravity spears that could crack ship hulls, bioplasma cannons that melted armor into component molecules, and neural disruptors that would paralyze human crews before boarding. The tactical displays showed overwhelming numerical superiority. 806 vessels against a handful of damaged human ships. The mathematics of destruction were elegantly simple, requiring only the systematic application of firepower to eliminate the last remnants of human military resistance. After this engagement, the human species would exist only as historical data in Syx archives. "Overlord," reported one of his subordinate minds, "long-range sensors are detecting unusual quantum fluctuations within the nebula's core regions." Vashketh processed the data through the collective consciousness, analyzing electromagnetic anomalies that seemed to suggest large-scale industrial activity. However, the nebula's natural interference made detailed analysis impossible, and the human ship's positions indicated they had been running for weeks rather than building anything substantial. "Irrelevant," he decided. "Human engineering capabilities are insufficient for major construction under combat conditions. The fluctuations are likely natural phenomena or dying reactor cores." It was the kind of logical conclusion that the Syx collective consciousness excelled at: rational, efficient, and completely wrong. Deep within the nebula's most electromagnetically chaotic regions, the Ghost Fleet powered their exotic systems for the first time in 3 years of construction. Quantum field generators hummed with energies that existed in 17 different dimensional frequencies simultaneously. Reality warping cannons charged their probability matrices, preparing to introduce localized paradoxes into space-time. Phase drives cycled through dimensional states, allowing the dreadnoughts to exist as quantum possibilities rather than concrete realities. "All Ghost Fleet vessels report ready status," Voidwalker announced, her neural implant processing data from 47 stealth dreadnoughts that officially didn't exist. Quantum uncertainty fields are stable across all vessels, and our dimensional phase variance is holding at optimal parameters. Admiral Shadowbane studied the tactical displays showing Syx fleet movements with the cold satisfaction of someone who had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. Every human death, every lost colony, every tactical retreat had been building toward this demonstration of humanity's transformation into something beyond conventional military doctrine. "Begin final preparations," she commanded. "Today, the galaxy learns that humanity no longer fights in the same reality as our enemies." The Syx assault unfolded with mathematical precision. 800 bioships converging on the human flotilla like antibodies attacking a viral infection. Vashketh observed through compound sensors as his hunters deployed their weapons' gravity spears that could puncture any known armor. Bioplasma torrents hot enough to vaporize metallic hulls. Neural disruptors designed to paralyze human nervous systems before boarding operations. The first human ship died exactly as predicted. The destroyer Defiant's end erupted in a cascade of secondary explosions, its reactor core breached by a gravity spear that twisted space-time around the impact point. Human bodies vented into vacuum through ruptured hull sections, their final moments broadcast across 6 tactical networks as confirmation of successful extermination protocols. "Predictable," Vashketh chittered, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction as he processed battle data through the hive-mind link. The human vessels were attempting crude evasion patterns, their individual captains making emotional decisions that violated tactical efficiency. Several ships were broadcasting surrender requests, their crews begging for mercy that would never come. Perfect, utterly, devastatingly perfect. Then the Phantom's requiem materialized inside his formation, like a nightmare given form. The Ghost Fleet dreadnought appeared without warning, its quantum-shifted hull phasing into normal spacetime from dimensional states that shouldn't exist. 6 sensors detected the massive vessel's emergence with a kind of electromagnetic screaming that suggested reality itself was being violated. The ship existed in multiple probability states, simultaneously solid enough to fire weapons, ethereal enough to ignore incoming fire, quantum uncertain enough to confuse targeting systems across 17 different spectra. "Impossible," Vashketh processed, his collective consciousness reeling as it tried to analyze something that operated outside known physics. The human dreadnought fired its main batteries, weapons that seemed to delete sections of 6 bioships from existence rather than destroying them through conventional means. Matter simply ceased to exist where the reality-warping beam struck, leaving perfectly spherical voids that violated conservation of mass. The flesh render shuddered as quantum torpedoes materialized inside its living hull, bypassing armor and shields to deliver their exotic payloads directly into critical systems. Vashketh felt the agonized death screams of his ship's biological components as they were aged centuries in seconds, their cellular structures collapsing into quantum foam before being deleted from causality entirely. "All vessels engage he began, then stopped as his tactical displays revealed the true scope of the ambush. 47 Ghost Fleet dreadnoughts were phasing into normal space around his fleet, their quantum field generators creating interference patterns that made conventional targeting impossible. Each human vessel existed in a state of dimensional superposition, attacking from multiple angles simultaneously while remaining untouchable to return fire. Captain Voidhawk's voice crackled across quantum-encrypted channels from the bait ship Last Hope, his transmission coordinating targeting data for the Ghost Fleet's reality-warping weapons. "Ghost Command, we have positive locks on all priority targets, initiating quantum cascade targeting protocols." The bait ships revealed their true purpose as sophisticated sensor platforms, their apparent damage concealing modifications that could track 6 vessels across multiple dimensional frequencies. Every energy signature, every biological component, Every tactical weakness had been cataloged during weeks of apparent retreat, building targeting solutions for weapons that operated outside conventional physics. Phantom 7 reports successful quantum deletion of enemy flagship cluster, announced Commander Voidwalker from her position aboard the Wraith's Edge. Enemy vessels are experiencing localized temporal distortion and reality cascade failures. Dimensional phase canon effectiveness exceeds predicted parameters by 18%. Vashketh watched his fleet die in ways that violated everything the Syx collective consciousness understood about warfare. Bioships aged to death in seconds as temporal missiles fired backwards through causality. Entire vessels phased out of normal spacetime, trapped in dimensional voids where they would exist as quantum possibilities forever. Gravity bombs created localized black holes that consumed matter at the subatomic level, leaving perfectly spherical regions of absolute void where mighty warships once existed. The hive-mind link that had been the Syx species' greatest strength became a liability as panic and confusion rippled through the collective consciousness. Individual warriors experienced independent thought for the first time as quantum interference severed their neural connections, leaving them isolated in their own minds while reality warped around them. "Overlord," reported one of his subordinates, the transmission fragmenting as quantum static interfered with biological communication systems. "Our weapons cannot achieve targeting locks on enemy vessels. They appear to exist in multiple spatial coordinates simultaneously." Vashketh processed the tactical data with growing horror. Human ships were attacking from impossible angles, firing through solid matter, and ignoring the fundamental laws of space-time. Their weapons operated on principles that the Syx collective consciousness couldn't comprehend. Reality itself had become a weapon in humanity's arsenal. "Admiral," Captain Voidhawk transmitted from his bait ship as it continued its elaborate charade of desperation. "Syx collective consciousness is showing signs of fragmentation. Quantum interference is disrupting their hive-mind coordination. Recommend full Ghost Fleet deployment for maximum psychological impact." Nyx Shadowbane studied the battle through quantum sensors that tracked the engagement across multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. The Ghost Fleet was performing beyond specifications, their reality-warping weapons systematically dismantling the Syx armada while operating in states of quantum uncertainty that made them functionally invulnerable to conventional attack. "Acknowledged, Captain," she replied, then opened channels to all Ghost Fleet vessels. "All units, implement protocol revelation. Show them what humanity has become." The remaining Ghost Fleet dreadnoughts phase-shifted into normal space with coordinate precision, their quantum field generators creating interference patterns that turned the nebula's electromagnetic chaos into a weapon. Spacetime itself began to fluctuate as 47 reality-warping engines synchronized their dimensional frequencies, creating localized paradoxes that deleted matter from existence across multiple probability states. Vashketh felt his collective consciousness fragmenting as individual Syx warriors experienced independent thought for the first time in their species' evolutionary history. The hive mind that had coordinated their conquest of 47 star systems collapsed under the strain of encountering something that operated beyond their understanding of reality. "What are you?" he broadcast on all frequencies, his voice carrying the terror of a hive mind confronting individual consciousness for the first time. "What have you become?" The response came from Admiral Shadowbane herself, her transmission cutting through quantum interference with crystalline clarity. "We are what happens when a species learns to weaponize uncertainty, Overlord. You wanted to exterminate humanity, now discover what humanity has evolved into." The Wraith's Edge materialized beside the flesh render, its quantum-shifted hull existing in 17 different dimensional states simultaneously. For a moment, Vashketh could perceive the human command ship in all its impossible glory, a vessel that existed as both matter and possibility, real enough to kill but ethereal enough to transcend the laws of physics. Then the reality-warping cannons fired, and the flesh render began dying in ways that violated causality itself. The flesh render's death throes echoed across dimensional frequencies as quantum weapons rewrote the fundamental laws governing its existence. Vashketh experienced his flagship's dissolution not as destruction, but as a systematic deletion from reality hull sections, simply ceasing to exist. Crew members erased from causality, biological systems aging backwards through evolutionary time until they became quantum foam. Impossible, he chittered through mandibles that flickered between existing and not existing as temporal distortion fields warped space-time around his position. Matter cannot simply cease to exist. Energy cannot be destroyed. Conservation laws. Our suggestions, Admiral Shadowbane interrupted, her voice cutting through quantum interference from the Wraith's edge as it maintained its state of dimensional superposition. Your species mastered conventional physics, Overlord. Humanity learned to rewrite them. The Ghost Fleet's assault had evolved beyond warfare into an applied physics demonstration. Each dreadnought operated as a localized reality engine, their quantum field generators creating zones where natural laws became negotiable. The Phantom's Requiem fired gravity bombs that collapsed sections of enemy vessels into singularities before dispersing them across 17 different dimensional frequencies. The Spectral Dominion launched temporal missiles that aged their targets to death, while simultaneously firing backwards through causality to destroy them before they launched. Vashketh's compound eyes tracked the systematic annihilation of his fleet across spectra that his species' senses had never evolved to perceive. Bioships were experiencing localized time distortions that aged their living hulls centuries in seconds. Quantum scramblers randomized matter at the molecular level, turning sophisticated war vessels into clouds of disconnected atoms. Reality-warping beams deleted entire sections of space-time, creating perfect spherical voids where mighty warships simply stopped existing. Overlord, transmitted one of his surviving captains, the communication fragmenting as quantum static interfered with biological neural networks. Recommend immediate strategic withdrawal. Enemy capabilities exceed all known parameters for. The transmission ended as the captain's bioship phased out of normal space-time, trapped in a dimensional void where it would exist as quantum possibility until the heat death of the universe. Vashketh felt the collective consciousness fragment further as individual warriors experienced independent thought, while watching their reality be systematically rewritten. You cannot win, he broadcast across all frequencies, his desperation bleeding through the hive-mind link to every surviving Syx consciousness. No species can master uncertainty itself. Physics has laws. Reality has limitations. The response came not from Admiral Shadowbane, but from the Ghost Fleet itself, 47 dreadnoughts synchronizing their quantum field generators to create a localized reality storm. Space-time began fluctuating wildly as probability waves interfaced, creating zones where past and future became negotiable concepts, where matter existed in multiple states simultaneously, where the fundamental forces governing existence became tools of war. Captain Voidhawk coordinated targeting data from his bait ship, now revealed as a sophisticated quantum sensor platform capable of tracking enemies across dimensional frequencies. Ghost Command, we have solutions on all remaining enemy vessels. Quantum cascade generators are synchronized and ready for reality deletion protocols. Confirmed, Captain, Commander Voidwalker replied from her station aboard the Wraith's edge. All Ghost Fleet vessels report quantum field stability at maximum efficiency, ready to demonstrate protocol annihilation on your command, Admiral. Nyx Shadowbane studied the tactical displays with the cold satisfaction of someone who had spent 3 years preparing for this demonstration. Each Syx vessel appeared as a complex probability matrix, their biological components cataloged across 17 different dimensional states. The Ghost Fleet's weapons could target specific quantum frequencies, allowing them to delete enemies from reality while leaving their remains as cautionary examples. All units, she commanded, implement protocol annihilation. Show the galaxy what happens to species that threaten humanity. The Ghost Fleet fired simultaneously, their reality-warping weapons creating a quantum cascade that rippled across spacetime like a virus in the Universal Operating System. 6 bioships began experiencing localized reality failures, sections of their hulls aging backwards through evolutionary time, crew members being deleted from causality, while their memories remained to torment survivors, weapons systems that fired backwards through time to destroy their own launching platforms. Vashketh felt his individual consciousness expanding as the hive-mind link collapsed completely, quantum interference severing the neural connections that had bound his species into collective awareness for millions of years. For the first time in his evolutionary history, he experienced true individual thought, and the revelation was terrifying. "What have you done to us?" he screamed, his voice carrying across fragmenting communication channels to the surviving remnants of his fleet. "The collective consciousness is fragmenting. We are becoming individuals, separate, alone." "Welcome to humanity," Admiral Shadowbane replied, her transmission cutting through dimensional static with surgical precision. "We learned to master individual thought while your species remained trapped in collective dependency. Now you understand why we could never be truly defeated." The Wraith's edge materialized alongside the dying flesh render, its quantum-shifted hull existing in a state of dimensional superposition that made targeting impossible. Nyx Shadowbane's image appeared on Vashketh's bridge through a holographic projection that somehow existed in multiple realities simultaneously. "Your species conquered 47 star systems by mastering conventional warfare," she said, her scarred features carrying the weight of 3 years spent hiding in the nebula while preparing humanity's evolution. "You developed superior technology, overwhelming numbers, and flawless tactical coordination, but you never learned the most important lesson." "What lesson?" Vashketh demanded, his chitinous armor cracking as temporal distortion fields aged sections of his exoskeleton while leaving others unchanged. "That true victory requires transcending the limitations that define your enemy's understanding of conflict," Nyx replied. "The Syx mastered known physics. Humanity learned to weaponize the unknown." The quantum cascade reached critical intensity as all Ghost Fleet vessels synchronized their reality-warping engines, creating a localized zone where the fundamental constants governing existence became negotiable. Spacetime itself began to fluctuate as probability waves interfaced, transforming the battle into a demonstration of applied quantum mechanics on a strategic scale. "Overlord," transmitted his last surviving captain, the communication arriving through quantum-encrypted channels that shouldn't exist. "Enemy vessels are implementing some form of dimensional warfare. They are attacking us from realities that haven't occurred yet while defending from temporal coordinates that have already been deleted from causality." Vashketh processed the impossible data through his fragmenting consciousness, trying to understand how humanity had learned to weaponize uncertainty itself. The Ghost Fleet operated outside conventional space-time, their reality-warping weapons creating localized paradoxes that deleted enemies from existence while leaving their destruction as quantum possibilities. "This is not warfare," he realized, his voice carrying the horror of a hive-mind encountering individual consciousness. "This is something beyond combat. You have transcended the limitations that define military conflict." "Exactly," Admiral Shadowbane confirmed, her image flickering between dimensional states as the Wraith's edge prepared to phase back into quantum uncertainty. "The Syx developed superior conventional weapons. Humanity developed superior reality. Welcome to the new paradigm of conflict, Overlord, where the battlefield is existence itself." The Ghost Fleet's ultimate weapon activated with coordinates precision, a quantum field generator that created a localized zone of dimensional uncertainty, encompassing the entire Syx fleet. Reality began fluctuating as probability waves interfaced, trapping enemy vessels in a state of quantum superposition, where they would exist as both destroyed and intact until the heat death of the universe. Vashketh felt his consciousness expanding and contracting as he experienced individual thought while simultaneously being deleted from causality. The last sensation he processed was the terrible understanding that his species had encountered something that had transcended the limitations defining existence itself. "The collective ends," he whispered, his voice carrying across dimensional frequencies to nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. "Individual consciousness begins. We become like them." Then the quantum cascade completed its cycle, and the Syx fleet phase shifted into dimensional uncertainty, trapped between existing and not existing until probability itself collapsed. The aftermath existed in 17 different dimensional states simultaneously, quantum probability fields maintaining the battle's results as both historical fact and ongoing possibility. Admiral Shadowbane stood before the holographic displays aboard the Wraith's Edge, watching as her crews cataloged the systematic demonstration of humanity's evolution beyond conventional warfare. "Status report on quantum field stability," she commanded, her voice carrying across dimensional frequencies to Ghost Fleet vessels that existed in states of superposition throughout the nebula. "All vessels maintaining optimal phase variance," reported Commander Voidwalker, her neural implant interfacing directly with quantum field generators across 47 dreadnoughts. "The Syx fleet has been successfully trapped in dimensional uncertainty. They exist as quantum possibilities until probability matrices collapse, which our calculations suggest will occur sometime after galactic heat death." The Ghost Fleet had evolved beyond mere military vessels into reality engines capable of rewriting the fundamental laws governing space-time. Each dreadnought operated as a localized physics laboratory, their quantum field generators creating zones where natural constants became negotiable parameters in humanity's strategic calculations. "Dimensional warfare effectiveness exceeded all projected parameters," continued Voidwalker's report. "Reality-warping weapons demonstrated 97% accuracy across multiple quantum frequencies. Temporal missile systems achieved impossible targeting solutions by firing backwards through causality. Quantum cascade generators successfully deleted enemy vessels from existence while maintaining their destruction as observable phenomena. Through quantum-encrypted channels, reports arrived from human intelligence networks spread across 47 star systems, documenting alien civilizations' reactions to the Syx fleet's impossible defeat. Species that had observed the hegemony's military superiority through conventional analysis were now confronting evidence of weapons that operated outside known physics. "Admiral," transmitted Captain Voidhawk from the former bait ship Last Hope, now revealed as a sophisticated quantum intelligence platform, "we're receiving communication intercepts from the Altarian Syndicate, the Zenter Collective, and the Kron Empire. All three civilizations are implementing immediate strategic withdrawals from sectors adjacent to human space." The implications rippled across galactic strategic calculations with mathematical precision. For 3 years, alien species had viewed humanity as a declining military power, their scattered fleets representing the last desperate resistance of a dying civilization. The Ghost Fleet's demonstration had rewritten those assumptions in ways that transcended conventional military doctrine. "Analysis of alien communication patterns suggests widespread panic," Voidhawk continued, his report transmitted through quantum channels that existed in multiple dimensional states. "The Altarians are describing human weapons as reality viruses that can delete matter from existence. The Center are implementing emergency evacuation protocols for all colonies within 50 light-years of human space. The Kron Empire has classified humans as a dimensional anomaly, requiring absolute avoidance. Nyx reviewed the intelligence reports with cold satisfaction, watching as alien civilizations abandoned entire sectors rather than risk encountering ghost fleet operations. Human expansion strategy had been transformed overnight from desperate survival to inevitable dominion through applied quantum mechanics. Intelligence section reports increasing alien refugee movements, added Commander Voidwalker. 17 different species are evacuating star systems based on unconfirmed rumors of ghost fleet activity. Our dimensional warfare capabilities are achieving strategic objectives without requiring direct engagement. The ghost fleet's existence had created a new category of military doctrine, warfare through the threat of reality manipulation. Alien species were retreating from rumors rather than risking encounters with weapons that could delete them from causality itself. Human colonies were expanding into abandoned space, their populations protected by the galaxy's growing terror of dimensional warfare. Phase 1 of the Phantom Dominion Protocol has exceeded all strategic objectives, Nyx announced to her assembled commanders, their forms flickering between dimensional states as the Wraith's edge maintained its quantum superposition. We have demonstrated that humanity operates outside conventional military limitations. Now we implement Phase 2. The holographic displays shifted to show construction reports from hidden shipyards scattered throughout previously unexplored nebulae. Human engineers were building the next generation of ghost fleet vessels, dreadnoughts capable of existing in multiple realities simultaneously, armed with weapons that could attack enemies across parallel universes, powered by quantum field generators that used uncertainty itself as fuel. The Probabilities End and Quantum Nightmare report successful testing of multidimensional phase drives, Commander Voidwalker announced. Both vessels achieved stable existence in parallel timeline variants while maintaining targeting capability across dimensional frequencies. Our quantum warfare doctrine is evolving beyond single reality limitations. Captain Voidhawk transmitted updated intelligence assessments from deep-cover human operatives positioned throughout alien space. Reports indicate that several species are attempting to develop countermeasures to quantum warfare. The Altarian Syndicate has established research facilities focused on dimensional stabilization technology. The Zenter Collective is experimenting with reality anchor systems designed to prevent localized space-time manipulation. Irrelevant, Admiral Shadowbane replied, her scarred features carrying the confidence of someone who understood that humanity had transcended the limitations constraining other species. Conventional physics cannot develop effective countermeasures to weapons that operate outside conventional physics. They are attempting to solve quantum uncertainty through deterministic methods. The implications were strategically decisive. While alien civilizations struggled to understand humanity's dimensional warfare capabilities through conventional analysis, human engineers were developing weapons that could attack across multiple realities simultaneously. The Ghost Fleet's next generation would operate in parallel universes, making them functionally invulnerable to enemies trapped in single-dimensional thinking. Admiral, transmitted the quantum intelligence platform spectral analysis. Long-range probability sensors are detecting organized alien research efforts in 43 different star systems. Enemy civilizations are coordinating their attempts to develop quantum countermeasures through shared scientific databases. Expected, Nyx replied, studying probability matrices that tracked alien technological development across multiple timeline variants. They still think like conventional military powers, attempting to counter superior weapons through technological advancement. They don't understand that we've transcended the paradigm entirely. The Ghost Fleet had evolved beyond military vessels into something approaching cosmic forces entities that existed in quantum superposition, wielded reality as a weapon, and operated across dimensional frequencies that most species couldn't perceive. Human strategic doctrine now included capabilities like retroactive victory through temporal manipulation, preemptive strikes across parallel timelines, and the systematic deletion of enemy civilizations from causality itself. Implementation of Phase 2 begins immediately, Admiral Shadowbane announced. Deploy Ghost Fleet Advance elements to establish quantum beacons in parallel universe variants of known alien systems. Begin multidimensional intelligence gathering operations. Prepare reality-anchored disruption weapons for strategic deployment against enemy research facilities. The Wraith's Edge began phase shifting through dimensional frequencies as the Ghost Fleet prepared to expand beyond single reality warfare. Through quantum field generators and reality warping engines, humanity would establish dominion not merely over known space, but across the infinite possibilities of parallel existence. Phase transition complete, reported Commander Voidwalker as the Ghost Fleet synchronized their multidimensional drives. All vessels report stable existence in parallel timeline variants. Quantum field stability maintained across dimensional frequencies, ready to establish phantom dominion across infinite realities. As the Ghost Fleet dispersed into parallel universes to begin Phase 2 operations, Admiral Shadowbane reflected on humanity's transformation from a dying species to a multidimensional empire that existed beyond conventional limitations. They had evolved past the need for numerical superiority, technological advancement, or strategic resources. Instead, they wielded uncertainty itself, transforming probability into the ultimate weapon. In dimensions that might have been, Ghost Fleet vessels began their eternal patrol of infinite possibilities, ensuring that humanity's dominion would exist wherever reality itself could be conceived. The Syx had sought to exterminate a species. Instead, they had forced that species to transcend the very concepts that defined extinction. The Phantom Empire had begun, and it would exist in every reality where existence remained possible. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, consider subscribing for more journeys. Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for the next adventure.